We at Wealthy Millennial want to help inspire, educate, and motivate you to make the best financial decisions possible. With our straightforward, no bullshit approach, we aim to simplify the complex world of personal finance for the millennial mind. Personal finance spans across many topics like budgeting, expenses, debt, and savings, just to name a few. Understanding how each of these topics works and affects the others is crucial to establishing a sound financial foundation. With that said, it's understandable that anyone just starting out might feel a little intimidated and unsure of where to begin. In this episode, we'll go over the key areas of personal finance. We'll break down each area into digestible chunks and explain the main concepts of each. Everything in this episode ahead is intended to help you get the best start on achieving your most profitable financial future. Spend less than you earn. This is pretty straightforward. Making sure that you spend less than you earn is really the only way to keep yourself out of debt and ensures a prosperous financial future. If you look a little closer at the saying, you can see that it's broken down in two ways. One, you have to spend less, or two, you have to make more. Before diving into these two categories, it's first important to mention that all of this is useless without a way of tracking everything. The simplest way of doing this is to maintain a monthly budget. You've got to have a clear picture of how much money you have coming in and going out. We'll go over all of this later in the episode. Now back to spending less. Watch your routines closely. By this, I mean your morning coffees from Timmy's or your daily lunches at the little Vietnamese place around the corner you and your coworkers love. Or maybe it's frequent stops at the mall to pick up a new pair of sneakers before the weekend. Identifying these costly spending habits might shed some light on why you can never seem to get ahead financially. Try digging a little deeper into some of your services that you use on a regular basis. Can you find a little less expensive internet provider who will give you the same level of service you're used to? What about your cell phone service or insurance provider? I was able to save just over $2,600 a year by only switching these two things. Making more. The best place to start when it comes to earning more money is at your current job. Start by asking your boss for a raise or volunteering to take on additional projects, which might warrant a raise at your next evaluation. Is your company busy enough to let you stick around for a few extra hours of overtime each week? When you're at work, don't waste time. Doubling down on your current projects will dramatically increase your productivity and it will absolutely be noticed. Continue to build transferable skills. Organization, negotiation, time management, and standard procedures for the work that you do often. Each of these skills are ones that you can take with you from company to company. So even if things don't work out where you're at, you've now got a wad of skills you can take with you. Take charge. Step up and go above and beyond. Fill your Rolodex. Porter Gale once said your network is your net worth, and he couldn't have been more right. Having a solid connection of quality contacts will be invaluable when your company is in need of a new marketing manager or a skilled employee. Get a second job or start a side hustle. Remembering why you're doing all of this is key to helping you stay motivated when times get tough. Let's face the facts. Cutting back on spending is a little like a diet. You're pumped in the beginning to see some serious changes, but a couple months, weeks, maybe even days later, that level of motivation just isn't what it used to be. Keep your eye on the prize to help you through these moments of doubt. You're making these changes so that you'll actually be able to afford to retire at 65. Or maybe you want to be able to fund your child's post-secondary education in full. Perhaps it's being able to drop that job you hate so much and pursue something that actually fires you up. Whatever your why may be, make sure to keep it front and center. Create a budget. I've said it time and time again. A budget is the foundation of any personal finance profile. It's imperative to know how much you're spending and bringing in on a monthly basis. Without it, you'll have no idea if you're spending more than you earn, are putting enough away for retirement, and will likely be in a very financially reactive state. I'll use myself as an example. Before I'd created my budget and had a clear picture of my finances, I found myself living with a scarcity mindset. I would go month to month not wanting to spend any more than I absolutely had to, and in turn wasn't enjoying my life at all. On top of this, anytime an unexpected expense would arise, or even a common expense that's a little more costly, auto repair, insurance premium, property tax, I'd immediately feel myself getting worked up. The fact that I had to give away this money that I had worked so hard for just killed me. Once the budget was put in place, I had the proper amounts allocated to each category, and I found my stress levels disappear almost completely. When a car repair would roll around, I'd simply open the app, see that I had $400 in my auto repair fund, and pay the bill free of stress. Though the relief of mental stress was a huge benefit, a budget will also open your eyes to the areas that might need a little more attention. It'll be pretty obvious where you're overspending when watching where all of your money is going. Taking that knowledge and adjusting your spending habits will have an incredibly positive impact. You'll also get the added bonus of knowing whether you're investing enough for your future goals. Things like the purchase of your first home, accelerated student debt repayments, or retirement savings. Knowing exactly how much money you have left at the end of each month might mean you can afford more than what you're currently investing, making your goals just that much closer. If you'd like to create a budget of your own, feel free to download my free Budget Builder ebook. It will walk you step by step through each category of your budget, help you find additional savings, and make achieving your financial goals a breeze. You could download this PDF at wealthymillennial.net/budgetbuilder. Establishing an emergency fund. Once your budget is set up and running, it's time to establish a healthy emergency fund. Experts recommend 3 to 6 months worth of expenses. If you've got very low interest debt, then aiming for the 3 to 6 month value is perfect. If, on the other hand, you've got a fair amount of debt, especially high interest consumer debt, then just saving up $1,000 or $2,000 and diverting all additional income towards knocking out your debt is a better route to take. Having an emergency fund is essential in any healthy financial situation, but if you're being weighed down by all of your monthly credit card payments, then getting rid of that debt first will save you the most amount of money down the road. There's so many advantages to having an emergency fund. One of the most important is not being derailed at your first unexpected expense. If you're listening to this episode, you're probably interested in bettering your financial future. Moreover, if you're putting the advice into action, then you'll have a couple financial goals. If you don't have an emergency fund and are hit with a huge expense like needing a new roof, air conditioner, or a new car, this sudden expense can have the backlash of derailing your savings plans altogether. This is exactly what happened to me when I finally decided to start taking charge of my financial situation. I built my budget, funded a small emergency fund with $3,000, and was beginning to tackle some older student debt. Then shit hit the fan. Spring rolled around and brought with it 2 dead trees in our backyard. And these 2 puppies weren't small either. $1,000 later, and that stress was gone. Then we got a call from the friends we have renting our basement. Seemed as though the air conditioner decided to crap out. Say goodbye to another $2,500. I thought we must be out of the woods by now. Unfortunately not. The final hit was when our dog tore his cruciate ligament, equivalent to a human's ACL. That one bad jump just cost us $4,500. Needless to say, the combination of events had completely sucked us dry of any additional savings and completely derailed our plans for accelerating our student debt repayment. On the plus side, we did have $3,000 emergency fund with a couple of other savings accounts that we could draw on. Had it not been for this money, we would have gone into debt to pay for all of it. A final bonus of having an emergency fund is the assurance you'll be alright if you lose your job. Let's face it, in today's economy, outsourcing and automation are killing North America's job market, so having a few months buffer in a savings account will definitely help alleviate that stress. Build your credit. Credit is king, at least when it comes to borrowers, and making sure you not only have it, but it's in good shape could mean the difference between getting financing for the new ride or having your mom's old beater. Basically, anytime you want to borrow money, whether that be for the purchase of a home, a new car, a line of credit, or even something as simple as a credit card, the lender will first check your credit history. Simply put, it's a report that tells the lender whether you're likely to pay the money back or not. With poor credit, or no credit at all, lenders are far less likely to loan you any amount of money because you're just too risky a borrower. Fear not, there are many ways that you can start building credit or fix poor credit. The simplest way to get started is to ask your bank for a credit card. If you've been a member of your bank for a while, you've probably been offered one by now. If not, simply mention that you'd like to start building credit with a credit card from them. Once you've got the card, be sure not to go crazy with it. A good rule of thumb is to spend no more than 1/3 of the limit you've been given. So, if your credit limit is $1,000, try to keep your balance on the card below $333. This shows that you're able to responsibly manage the credit you've been given. Some bonuses to good credit include getting approved for larger purchases like a home or car, but also play a role if you want to eventually start your own business and need a small business loan to get the ball rolling. If you're still renting your primary residence, you'll know that almost every landlord wants to make sure that you've got good credit. Even some jobs nowadays are checking in. My favorite part about maintaining a killer credit score is the interest rate lenders will offer you. If you've proven that you always pay in full and on time, you are a dream customer to any lender. They know you'll pay them back, and for that reason, they want you as a customer. Some insurance companies offer lower rates for individuals with good credit as well. The mentality here is that those who are less risky with their spending are also safer drivers and homeowners. Bonus. Plan/save for the future. One day you're going to want to retire, and doing so will require a serious nest egg to help get you through your golden years. Couple this with advancements in medicine and technology, and I wouldn't be surprised to see the average life expectancy for us millennials to climb into the triple digits. So, saying we need to save is a bit of an understatement. I'm not trying to scare you off here, just trying to make it clear that we are either going to have to work later into our life, after the age of 65, or bank more during our working years. The best way to get ahead of the game is to start as early as you can. When investing from an early age, you have two major benefits working for you. One, you have the incredible power of compound interest working for you for longer. Two, you don't have to invest nearly as much of your own money. Here's a quick illustration to show how both compounding interest and starting young will serve you best. $10,000 invested every year from age 20 to 60 with an average return of 7% will yield you $1.9 million. That same $10,000 invested from age 30 to 60 at 7% will yield you $944,000. Yep, that's a difference of a little more than $1 million. The idea of putting 10% of what you earn towards retirement has long been the standard, but I'm not completely sold that it will be enough. As mentioned above, our generation can absolutely expect to live at least a decade, maybe two, longer than current generations. With that in mind, I don't think 15 to 20% is unreasonable. When it comes to retirement savings, automation is your best friend. By having your bank automatically withdraw a portion of your earnings, you don't have to worry about doing it manually. You also won't have to exert any willpower. By this I mean, it can be tough to transfer money into savings when there are so many cool things that money could be spent on. Instead of having to force yourself to do something that you don't want to, it can be done automatically, without you even lifting a finger. If you find it hard to reach this savings percentage, take a look at some of your habits and routines. Are there small things in your daily life that can be eliminated or substituted to help you find a bunch of smaller savings? Think about your morning coffee, dining out, or frequent Uber rides. Spending money is not a bad thing, so long as the money you're spending is going towards meaningful things. You won't remember all the coffees you've had on your way to work, but a trip to the peak of Mount Kilimanjaro will live with you till the day you die. On top of finding those mini savings throughout your weekly routine, there are also larger one-time negotiations you can have that will pay off huge, like shopping around for a new insurance company, a cheaper cell phone provider, lowering your mortgage interest rate, or negotiating a raise at work. All of these things only have to be done once, but the savings from them will continue to work in your favor. Put your money to work for you. Going to your job day in, day out is an act of working for your money, but how hard is your money working for you? Setting up systems of automation that will allow your money to net you a return without having to do much management on your own is exactly what you need. We all see this in a very small degree with our checking or savings account. Most banks offer a guaranteed return for putting the money into one of these accounts. The percentages you'll earn are almost nothing though, maybe 0.5% at best. At this rate, you won't even keep up with inflation year over year. Not good. You need to put your money somewhere it will actually earn a decent return and not just struggle to keep up with inflation. There are loads of options here. Everything from investing in stocks, bonds, mutual funds, and index funds. Or you can look at other kinds of investments like purchasing a home for yourself or a second home to be used as a rental property. Or you can even go the route of crowdfunding, where you invest your money in a small business. Cool thing about this is that you don't need too much money to begin with. A simple start would be to put your excess money into an RSP or tax-free savings account. Both of these accounts can be invested in the stock market and also serve a nice tax-sheltered benefit. Each investment vehicle has its pros and cons, and each require different amounts of your time. For example, if you invest in mutual funds through your bank, You really only need to sit down with your advisor once a quarter to see how everything is going and make any needed adjustments. If you own a rental property, on the other hand, you're required to find tenants, tend to the needed repairs and maintenance of your property, just to name a few. A much larger investment of time is required. If you do decide to take the route of investing your money in the market with your bank, you should first consider the options. Banks are crazy expensive. They might not seem like it because they charge you nothing up front, but the amount of money that they take in terms of management fees can add up real quick. What's worse is that they even take their fee when your portfolio is underperforming or on a decline. If this chaps your ass, as it does mine, then consider looking into robo-advisors. There are a number of companies on the market today, but the two that have really established themselves are Wealthsimple and Wealthfront. The awesome thing about these guys is that they don't have actual money managers looking over your portfolio and making changes manually. They have algorithms that do it for you. Because of this, they are able to offer similar services you'd find from your local bank for as little as 0.25%. This is pretty huge considering that it's not uncommon for banks to charge anywhere from 2 to 3.5% depending on how actively managed your portfolio is. When it comes to getting started with your personal finances, things aren't all that complicated. In fact, most of it's pretty common sense. Take a moment to go through everything mentioned in this episode, and comparing it to your own financial situation will help you determine whether you're crushing it or what areas need to be improved. As always, you can head on over to wealthmillennial.net/blog to read the full article with all the links and resources mentioned. If you enjoyed this episode, please share the love. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and share with your friends and family. You can also find us on Instagram and Facebook at Wealth and Millennial. The more millennials we can help when it comes to personal finance, the better off we'll all be.
This has been an Evoke Media podcast.